Welcome to the Township of Abington's Board of Commissioners meeting for January 14th, 2016, and may we have a roll call, please?
Here.
Here.
Sanchez.
Here.
Robin.
Here.
Myers.
Here.
Markman.
Here.
Garber.
Here.
Bowman.
Here.
Placido.
Here.
Barron.
Here.
Gillespie.
Here.
Tucker.
Here.
Malinowski.
Here.
Klein.
Here.
Lugar.
Here. May everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First, I'd like to make an announcement that an executive session was held on Thursday, January the 14th, this evening at 7 p.m. to discuss a personnel matter. At this time, we have some presentations, and first I'd like to call on Commissioner Drew Rothman.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a resident in Ward 3, Sister Bodana Podney. She turned 100 years old on January 9th, and we have a citation which I'm just going to read. She's not able to be here tonight. I'll be presenting the plaque that we have for her at some point in the near future. It reads, "In recognition on the occasion of your 100th birthday, the Abington Township Board of Commissioners takes great pleasure in joining with your family, your church family, and your many friends in saluting you and wishing you the happiest of birthdays. Your commitment to religious life and accomplishments bring pride to our community. Good health and good fortune." So, happy birthday, Sister Podney, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call on Commissioner Stephen Kalinowski for a presentation.
Thank you, President Lugar. Vic, how are you? Good, thank you. I got to tell you a little story real quick. I hope this is on. Vic, you came to us in time of need. I know this holiday season we had, I'll let you hold the plaque because I'm trying to read something here real quick. You know, we have to thank Vic because at this holiday season through the community partnership, we learned that a family in desperate need of help was the place they called home was infested with bed bugs and everything they owned had to go. We were contacted and asked if we could supply the family with new mattresses. And Vic here, who is a great community leader, was willing to jump right in and help us. Let me tell you a little bit about Vic. Vic is the owner of Mattress Outlet in Abington, PA. I believe it's in Roslyn on Easton Road. He is registered sleep advisor and Equality to solve most sleep-related needs. So if anybody has a problem with sleeping, Vic's the guy to call. Okay. He holds a BS in marketing from Drexel University, 35 years of sales experiences in the bed and direct sales. He is married with two middle-aged children here, middle grade, not middle-aged. Sorry, middle-aged school children, I should say. Vic includes sales management solutions, providing the customer relations expertise. His mission is to help as many people as possible save money, sleep better, and be happier. And you've told me that every time I've met you. I think we've discussed this. Victor belongs to the municipal, local civic organizations such as the Roslyn Valley Business Association and the Business Network Advisory Group. So, Vic, we'd like to thank you and recognize you for your great job that you helped us out this year. I really get to read the plaque here to you, Vic. Vic Padalano, in recognition for your charitable donation to the family sorely needed of assistance, your help has truly positive impact on the entire family, and your generosity to others at the time of need is commendable. The Board of Commissioners of Abington Township gratefully present the certificate to Victor Padalano. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Your family here? Come on.
Francine, my daughter, Jordan, and my oldest daughter, Michaela.
I really kind of know, I haven't said enough kind words of what you did for us at the holiday season, so I really appreciate that, and I also will do it again. Absolutely. And to recognize the community partnership that we have developing and continuing to go, to be able to reach out to somebody like Vic is a great thing, and we'll continue to do that through CAP, the school board, everything else that comes along with Abington. It's a great place to live, and I'm sure it's a great place to work. Thank you.
Thank you. I thought I'd move forward to save a few moments. I was told before the meeting started that the proclamation that I have to read now will take approximately 2.5 minutes. That's easy for you to say. And that was from Ms. Nancy Hammocky Marshall. In any event, at this time, we come to a very momentous time in our program. It's a time when we celebrate the 50th birthday of the Abington Township Public Library, 50 years ago. So we have a proclamation that reads as follows. The Abington Free Library. Whereas the Abington Township Public Library provides valuable services that enrich our community and enhance the well-being of our service population through the pursuit of information, knowledge, creativity, and many other forms of individual expression, and whereas the Abington Township Commissioners engaged the first library director and supported the creation of the Abington Township Public Library in 1966, and have, along with residents, faithfully supported the ATPL for 50 years, and whereas the library, with the support of the governing body and community it serves, has sought to expand its critical role in the life of the township by providing innovative and essential services to meet the ever-changing and expanding needs of its clientele, including but not limited to creating the Friends of the Abington Township Public Library in 1966 to support the growth of the library, and incorporating the Roslyn branch within the Abington Township Public Library in 1967, and establishing an adult literacy program in 1984 in order to assist adults in reading difficulties, and later expanding it to include general educational development and English as a second language tutoring, and creating... One commissioner said, whatever happened to a simple sentence? And becoming a founding and integral member of the Montgomery County Library and Informational Network Consortium in 1995 in order to purchase and operate an integrated online library system that facilitates information discovery and resource sharing throughout Montgomery County, and initiating the Doggone Good Readers Program in the Children's Department in 2006, which program established or celebrated its 10th anniversary in 2015, has welcomed more than 3,600 children during these 10 years, and has given rise to a second therapy dog reading program called Bark Pals for students attending Willow Hill and Overlook Elementary Schools, and developing the innovative Abington Roslyn Reads Summer Program that pairs young readers with teen mentors to foster reading development and retention during the summer months. Now therefore, I, Wayne Luker, President, Board of the Commissioners of the Township of Abington, do proclaim and recognize the 50th birthday of the Abington Township Public Library, and do hereby invite all citizens of Abington Township to join in celebrating this vital community asset. So I think that was 2.5 minutes. So with that, I'd like to call on the Director of the Abington Township Library, Ms. Nancy Hammocky Marshall. Thank you.
Is this on? It doesn't sound like it to me. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you, everyone. everyone involved in the library, everyone who has ever set foot in the library has supported us through their thoughts, donations, and attendance. We are grateful. Without the help and support of our greatest asset, which I feel is our wonderful staff. Without our staff, our library would not be the #1 library in Montgomery County. And could my staff just raise your hands? Look how many of my staff are. They are the best, and they are the driving force behind this 50th birthday celebration. The committee has worked tirelessly. We had a wonderful day yesterday. KYW was there. I hope you all heard it on the radio. So it's a team effort, as you all know. It's our staff, our friends of the library, our board members, our patrons, our volunteers, all past and present. Without all these people over the last 50 years, we would not be as successful as we are. And as you all know, on a slow day, we have 800 to 1,000 people in the building. Close to 400,000 people are served a year at our library, and we are grateful to welcome them, and we hope we can continue to welcome them for another 50 years to come. I started thinking about who in the heck am I going to thank without offending somebody or without leaving somebody out. And I really do think that there are 3 people who have been integral to the success of our library over the last 50 years, without whom our library would not be as successful. And I do want to recognize just 3 people out of the thousands of people who have helped us. First of all, I would like to thank the director who preceded me, Nancy Pozell, our director of 25 years, a driving force in the establishment of our library. I would like to thank the late Reverend Robert Hogue, board member emeritus, board member extraordinaire. And finally, I would like to thank a staff member who was universally loved, and that was Mrs. Pat Cease. So those are just 3 people among the hundreds of people who have helped establish our wonderful library. Commissioners, without your support and help and being behind us every time we want to do something different and innovative, we are so grateful, so thankful. So here's to another 50 years.
Mr. President, with your indulgence, I know probably a lot of folks are going to leave before we begin our formal agenda. Just want to say very, very briefly to Nancy and to all the library staff. The library as an institution and as a collection of some of the most amazing team of human beings you're going to find anywhere is a very special neighbor in Ward 11, and it's a place that's very special to my family. It's where I used to take my long before I was on this board. Where I used to take my daughter every Sunday, and we'd sit in the downstairs in the children's section, and you guys helped my daughter to learn to read, and you do so much for the community that it would take 10 of these statements to even list everything. On behalf of Ward 11, we love you. Happy birthday, and thank you for everything.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to our next agenda item, which is approval of the minutes, and I'd like to call on Vice President Stephen Klein.
Thank you, President Luker. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for the preliminary budget meeting of November 19th, 2015, the preliminary budget meeting of November 30th, 2015, Board of Commissioners meeting of December 10th, 2015, and the Board of Commissioners 2016 final budget meeting of December 23rd, 2015, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments from commissioners or staff? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. At this time, we'll move to our next item, which is reappointment to the volunteer boards and commissions. And unless there are no objections, I'll read the reappointments, the commissions, and the terms of those appointments. First, we have the Civil Service Commission, which is yearly, and that's Mr. Richard Titel, Esquire, for a period of 1 year. Do we vote on these individually, or could we take it as a group?
Well, if you take it as a group, you run the risk if somebody has an objection to one particular reappointment, it'll foul the whole process up. So I would take at least each committee individually.
Okay. So with that, we'll ask for a vote on the Civil Service Commission, which is for Richard Mr. Titel for 1 year. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Next, the Planning Commission for a period of 4 years, and that would be for Mavis Robinson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The Environmental Advisory Council for a period of 3 years, Jennifer Sherwood, Michael Kazalek, Kaki Braun Evans. I'm sorry?
Michelle Keisha.
Oh, is that Michelle? I'm sorry. Michelle Kazalek and Kaki Braun Evans. And what I'll do is I think I'll read each one individually. All in favor of Jennifer Sherwood?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All in favor of Michelle? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All in favor of Kaki?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. So that's unanimous on all three. Next, the Library Board of Trustees for a period of 3 years, Thomas Tyler Esquire. All those in favor of Mr. Tyler?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Teresa Scroggins. All in favor of Teresa?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next, the Economic Development Committee for 3 years. And we'll start with Mr. Jack Lowe.
He's actually, Jack's actually agreed to move to emeritus status, so he's going to continue to be an emeritus member of the board, but not a voting member, so we can go to the next person.
Go to the next one, okay. So the next would be Barbara Nye. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Next would be Mr. Richard Gaglianese. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next, Mr. David Mulvey. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next, Mr. Michael McPaul. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next, the Civil Service Commission for a period of 6 years, and that would be Diane Misko. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And the next would be the Zoning Hearing Board, and for this one, Mr. Michael O'Connor, that would have to be approved by resolution, is that correct?
Correct.
And to do that,
The motion is to approve by resolution the reappointment of Mr. O'Connor to a 5-year term to the zoning hearing board.
Motion.
you've heard the motion, seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And lastly, the Shade Tree Commission for a period of 5 years, John Kennedy, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. That concludes the volunteer boards and commissions, which ended December 31st, 2015, for those specific years that were brought up. Any comments from commissioners? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to our formal agenda. And first, I'd like to call on Mr. Tom Hecker, Director of Public Works.
Thank you, President Luker. The Public Works Committee has 2 items of business this evening. The first is PW1. This is Resolution Number 16-006, the alternative plan for the Wissahickon Watershed Total Phosphorus TMDL. And this is a motion to adopt Resolution Number 16-006 to authorize the Township of Abington to participate in the collaboration with other Montgomery and Philadelphia County municipalities and wastewater treatment plant operators for the future development of a plan for an alternative to the proposed EPA total phosphorus maximum daily load for the Wissahickon Creek watershed, and I so move.
Second.
Motion has been seconded. Any comments from commissioners? or staff? Sorry, Commissioner Klein.
Yeah, I would like to ask all the commissioners to vote for this. I think this is I've been to a couple of the meetings and have been involved in some of the organizational meetings through the Montgomery County Planning Commission and this alternative plan for the TMDL. And I think it's a great opportunity for the 16 or 17 permit holders to work together and come up with a solution to what most of them believe is a arduous TMDL that has been imposed upon by EPA. So, thank you.
Okay, any other comments from commissioners? Any from staff? Any from residents? Name and address for the record, please.
Laura Lehman, 1431 Bryant Lane. What amount of money are we pledging?
This motion doesn't involve any expenditure of any funds. The municipalities are just working together with EPA and DEP to see if we can reach some middle ground in terms of improving the stream quality with a TMDL level that's actually attainable. The feeling right now is that the guidelines that EPA has come up with simply cannot be reached with current technology. So we need to work together to come up with a viable solution. Everybody supports improving the environment to the best of our ability, and we think we can attain that by working together.
So it's just, there are no funds involved at all? That's what he said. I'm understanding.
Not at this time.
Right.
All right, thank
Correct. Thank you. Any other questions from residents? Commissioner Gillespie.
Thank you. Actually, working with a group, we will eventually save money. We're trying to narrow this down that the federal government has asked us to take care of.
Vice President Klein.
One comment to that is I think one of the objectives in the alternative plan is to in the end of this, there's going to have to be some mitigation of some chemicals that go into the watershed, and the advantage to working through an alternative plan is to allow the permit holders to have cost sharing, because although some work may be done in one municipality, that benefits all the permit holders. So there's some advantages to trying to work as a collaborative instead of individually.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, the motion has been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And we have PW2, which is the Edge Hill Road, Tyson Avenue Flood Control Street Reconstruction Project Appraisal Review Specialist. And this is a motion to approve Appraisal Review Specialist, LLC, to perform the appraisal review function for the Edge Hill Road, Tyson Avenue Flood Control Street Reconstruction Project in the amount of $16,000, and I so move.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments from commissioners or staff? Commissioner Myers.
Just two questions. Is the $16,000, would that be part of the reimbursement by PennDOT at the end of the project?
Yes, it would.
Okay. And also, in the letter from appraisal review specialists, the letter was to Rudolph Clark. Is Rudolph Clark the client, or is Abington Township the client?
Abington Township would be the client. We had asked for the proposal from them.
Okay, because it went on to say that the client will be billed at an all-inclusive hourly rate of $105 per hour. When would we go into that area of getting outside of the initial $16,000?
So these review services are required when the initial appraisal estimate exceeds $10,000. It's required by PennDOT regulations. If additional review finds that there are more than we've identified 16 properties that we think are above the $10,000 threshold. That would kick in if it turns out that there are more than 16 properties. But we don't believe that there are.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners? Any from staff? Any from residents? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
And that concludes our business, President McGurk.
Thank you, Commissioner Hecker. Commissioner Sanchez, Director of Code Enforcement Land Development.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight we have CE1, ordinance number 2100, ordinance to amend the stormwater management requirements of the Township of Abington. And we will call on Township Engineer Mike Powers.
This evening you have before you is the final ordinance for the township. the Pennsylvania Department of DEP, they are requiring us to create a stormwater ordinance for all of our 3 watersheds. The permits, we started back in 2004, started our first ordinance then. The MS4 requirements require us to have this type of ordinance in place. We have 3 watersheds, so we technically had to pass 3 separate ordinances. They were very diversified, so what we've done with this final ordinance is try to combine them all into one ordinance. It took a while to convince DEP to create one specific ordinance for all 3 watersheds. You did pass the ordinance for the Tookonie-Frankfort watershed back in 2010. The Pennypack was in 2014, and the Wissahickon was approved in 2015. It was been reviewed by the Planning Commission, and the current ordinance, of course, is modified to include the Wissahickon watershed, which is the last watershed to be included in this whole watershed operation. What we've done with the watershed is tried to narrow it down. There are so many different regulations for the 3 watersheds. I was afraid that if you did one thing for one watershed and not for another watershed, you would have people complaining back and forth. So what we did was we narrowed it down to anything less than 250 square feet. You have to have rain barrels. Anything over 250 square feet, you need some kind of seepage pit or rain barrel design up to 1,000 square feet. When you get over 1,000 square feet, then we want a full engineering design, because now you have to meet specific requirements for each watershed. But for the smaller things that people are doing on their properties, the township has spent $50 million in stormwater improvements, and we'd like to keep things on top of things and keep those things working for us. Like I said, the County Planning Commission looked at it and they had no comment whatsoever. They thought it was a great ordinance. Actually, I think this ordinance is going to be used as a model for the state of Pennsylvania. So you do have a top ordinance, a very good ordinance, and I think that, it's manageable, and we can manage it throughout all 3 watersheds without having people complain that one group was favored over another.
Thank you, Michael. Any questions of Mr. Powers?
Just one comment.
Okay. Commissioner Klein.
And it's worth stating that the ordinance that we chose to, or that's being presented in front of us is actually more restrictive than the model ordinances that are floating around in Montgomery County at this point, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
So I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2100 for the purpose of amending Abington Township Code and bringing Abington Township into compliance with the requirements of Act 167, Stormwater Management Act of the State of Pennsylvania, and I so move.
Been moved and seconded. Any comments from commissioners or staff? Any from residents?
Laura Lehman, 1431 Bryant Lane. So in the process of doing this entire stormwater ordinance and working also on things with Cheltenham sewer items and stormwater items and getting stormwater out of sewers and so on, what I'm trying to understand is how on December 16th we got to a meeting and purported just to have learned about the basins. It just seems that, and the 2 main issues that I had is, one, that we purported just to have learned about them. In May, many of you are on my newsletter list, and in May, I sent out the article about the Army Corps having published that. And I know that you've been working together with Cheltenham. And on top of that, our engineer said that he had many, many other options. But how was he not working with Cheltenham on these options, knowing that Cheltenham was doing this and being in the process of overall stormwater management for multiple townships? I mean, as we know, it's going on in both townships. I've been in this room while we've talked about it so many times. So could I understand those 2 things? Is that
Well,
how we seem to be declaring December 16th that we just learned about the
Well,
stormwater?
I don't think,
basin?
Ms. Lehman, this is the time to engage in that a Q&A on that subject. I think your attendance at those meetings would be the time to ask those questions, because it could take minutes and a half an hour or so to go into all that. I don't want to engage in that conversation at this time.
Okay, all right.
I would
well-
suggest that you come to the meetings that are ongoing regarding that subject and ask
Well,
those
could-
questions at that
Could we
time.
even, I did come to those meetings, but as you know, there are many, many people needing to speak whose properties are immediately threatened.
Right.
Okay, and there is very little time to speak. So I would appreciate perhaps if I could get an answer outside of this meeting then on that.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Are there any other questions from residents on the motion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
Mr. President, that concludes our business for this evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanchez. At this time, I'd like to call on Commissioner Laurie Schreiber, Director of Public Safety.
Thank you, President Luker. We have 3 items on our agenda this evening. PS1 is a motion to adopt ordinance number 2106, amending Chapter 156, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking Regulations, Section 25, parking prohibited at all times, no parking between signs, no parking here to corner, parking prohibited except certain hours, no stopping or standing, Section 27, parking time limited, and Section 28, special purpose parking zones, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments from commissioners? Staff? Any from residents? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
PS2 is a motion to advertise ordinance number 2108, amending Chapter 156, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Parking Regulations, Section 25, parking prohibited at all times, no parking between signs, no parking here to corner, parking prohibited except certain hours, no stopping or standing, for adoption at the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Commissioners on February 11th, 2016, at 7:30 p.m., and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments from commissioners? Any from staff or residents? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And PS3 is a motion to appoint Officer Joseph Blythe to the rank of probationary sergeant, effective January 14th, 2016, provided he successfully completes the remaining portions of the promotional process, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments from commissioners? Any from staff? Any from residents? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And that concludes our agenda this evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Schreiber. Commissioner Spiegelman, Director of Public Affairs.
Thank you, President Luker. Tonight, the Public Affairs agenda consists of one item, and that is PA1, Economic Development Business District Landscape Maintenance Bid. This is a motion authorizing the proper township official to contract with Louis F. Biazzi, landscape contractor, for the 2016 service year in an amount not to exceed $75,000 for the Business District Landscape Maintenance contract. Funds will be drawn from the Economic Development Capital Accounts reserved for this purpose, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments from commissioners? Any from staff? Residents? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. President, that concludes the Public Affairs agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner Spiegelman. At this time, Vice President Stephen Klein, Director of the Finance Committee.
Thank you, President Luker. I'd like to begin by calling on Township Treasurer Jay Blumenthal for the Treasurer's report. Nice bow tie.
Thank you, Commissioner Klein. First of all, I want to talk about the amount of monies deposited for the various departments in the Republic Bank for the month of December of 2015. The month we had a total of $938,554 compared to last year of $802,013, which shows an increase of $136,541. Year to date, we collected $17,319,675 compared to last year of $18,274 and $596. This shows a loss, a reduction, let's say, compared to the previous year of $954,921. Now, with that said, every year, I think the more and more funds that come into the township into the finance department, get ACH into the finance department, where it doesn't come through my department. And also it could be a matter of timing. So that's most likely what the reduction is. You may want to also take note that code enforcement collected $1,409,376. Well, I don't like to praise Larry Mateo, like everyone else always does, because his head's getting pretty large. I do want to thank Larry for bringing in that type of money. You owe me, Larry. As for the real estate taxes collected and transferred up to the finance department, for the month we collected $197,248, with a year-to-date of $25,741,429, leaving a remaining balance of $606,435. Compared to December of last year, we're ahead by $101,292, which is timing again. I will tell you, as usual, as far back as I can remember in the 10-plus years I've been here, we're still at the 98% with 2% left to collect, and that's what it is every year. I want to make one other note that on the 12th of the month this week, my department took up to the County Tax Claim Bureau the amount of the parcels that remain unpaid as of 12/31/15. In roughly a couple, 2 to 3 weeks, they will be receiving a letter from a company called Northeast Revenue Services. They are the collection agent for the Tax Claim Bureau, and they're the ones who are going to be collecting the money, as I can't collect it after the end of the year. If there's any questions anybody has, some of you commissioners may be receiving phone calls. Feel free to call me or have the taxpayer call me. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Blumenthal. FC1, motion to A, approve the November expenditures as previously circulated to the board in the amount of $2,117,986.96 in salaries and wages, in the amount of $1,745,821.03, and B, authorize the proper officials to sign vouchers in payment of bills and contracts as they mature through the month of February 2016, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Secone? Yes. Spiegelman?
Yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Brockman?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Markman?
Yes.
Schreiber?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes.
Lucido?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Gillespie?
Yes.
Hecker?
Yes.
Kalinowski?
Yes.
Klein?
Yes.
Luker?
Yes.
FC2, motion to approve the advance and travel expense activity for November 2015 as previously circulated to the board. Advance and travel expense reports were $0 and $498.65 respectively. 10-month expenses totaled $36,526.76, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments from commissioners? Any from staff or residents? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
FC3, motion to approve the clearing fund, the deferred revenue expense activity, and petty cash balances for the month of November as previously circulated to the board. Clearing fund receipts and disbursements for the month of November 2015 were $20,794.51 and $17,994.58 respectively. Deferred revenue expense receipts and disbursements for the month of November 2015 were $5,509 and $657 respectively, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
FC4, motion to adopt Resolution Number 16001, authorizing the Finance Director and his/her designate to invest township funds in any and all such financial institutions as permitted by first-class township code, and I so move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. I forgot to ask for any comments from commissioners or staff or residents on either of the last two motions. If there are none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
FC5, motion to adopt Resolution Number 16002, authorizing the disposition of certain finance office records as set forth in Exhibit A, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments from commissioners or staff? Any from residents? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
FC6, motion to adopt Resolution Number 16-003, authorizing the disposition of certain tax office records as set forth in Exhibit A, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments from commissioners? Any from staff or residents? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes.
That concludes our agenda for tonight, President Lugar.
Thank you, Vice President Klein. At this time, I'd like to call on Commissioner Tom Bowman, Director of the Pension Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pension Committee has one item on the agenda, and that's ordinance number 2107, Retirement Pension Benefit. This is a motion to adopt ordinance number 2107, amending the non-uniform pension plan to include an Act 44 deferred retirement option drop. And I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any comments from commissioners? Any from staff? Any from residents?
Laura Lehman, 1431 Bryant Lane. Back in 2011, I think it was a long time ago, Chief Kelly, in the middle of not even a contract negotiation, was offered the DROP program. And at the time, it was not long.
Excuse me, Ms. Lehman.
Yeah.
Are you specifically questioning one person's individual?
No, if you give me a minute, you'll see where I'm going with this. So at the
But
time,
the rules are not to refer to specific township employees.
Right. I don't think you're, I think you're
okay.
going on a slippery slope here, going down, questioning one person's decision on a personnel matter. That's not for public discussion. But
well,
go ahead.
that was a whole public matter. That was a whole public matter, and I'm just bringing up that particular matter happened in 2011. It's a fact. It's not some kind of an attack or anything. It's a fact I'm bringing up. And the point that I wanted to make is at the time we had some discussion, which was public discussion, about whether or not that was financially beneficial to us. And it was at the time that Philadelphia was in the middle of its big dilemma from having offered DROP program. We were told at the time that it was a neutral situation, which I would imagine you would be saying with this too, is that it's revenue neutral and that there is no cost to it per se. In the aftermath before of that incident before, we did quite a bit of research and sent that research to the then township manager, Mr. Conway, that there was indeed a great deal of not quite so revenue neutral, depending on how the DROP program was used and taken. And I wonder if a full analysis has been made, and this has been. Okay. So this is, I mean, it's not, some kind of an attack on somebody. This is just the progression of what's happened here in the township. And did we learn something from before? Because clearly all the analysis that had been done, and a great deal had been done in this area because of the Philadelphia situation. And so do we have an analysis?
The red flags went up when you mentioned a specific individual. So if you had to just drop that and just ask the question. Okay. Manager Lefevre, you want to address that?
Thank you, President Lugar. The speaker is correct. The city of Philadelphia basically gave the concept of a drop benefit a black eye by one of the reasons the elected officials jumping in and out of the drop program and walking away with large sums of money. The state legislature took notice of that and enacted Act 44, which put strict limitations on drop benefits going forward. This proposed drop benefit falls under the Act 44. There's no longer any guarantee on rate of returns. There's protection from the township in terms of the return on those investments, how those investments can be invested. And in addition, the employees are increasing their pension contribution from 4 to 5% to offset any potential costs associated with the drop. I think when the police benefit was enacted, I don't think people fully understood the implications of a drop program. There is potential exposure if there's loss of return on your investments, loss of state aid, so there is costs associated with them. In this case, our costs are fully covered 100% by employees' contributions, and there is no exposure to the township whatsoever financially.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael Lefevre. Are there any other questions? If none, motion has been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
That concludes our business, sir.
Thank you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our formal agenda. So with that, I'll ask for any comments from staff? Any comments from residents?
Meadowbrook again. A quick point tonight. We worked many, many years to get the information that we needed to come to the meetings. The meetings are run so much differently than they were 10 years ago. We thank you for that. And we worked so hard to get information. So tonight, the pension, the drop program, was not included in the packet. I assume it was in your packets and was not in mine. So I contacted the office. I was told it would be in the book out there. But I think we've been through this, for many years, that anything in the book is not something we can come in and read and absorb. We certainly can't ask any questions. So that doesn't work for residents trying to work on issues with the township. So I asked Mr. Lefevre if I could get a copy before the meeting, and was not afforded that. I was told the book would be on the table, and in fact, the book wasn't. Somebody probably walked off with it. But at any rate, I would like us not to go backwards. Could we please just keep moving forward? We've made so much progress. Yes?
Okay, Mr. Lefevre?
Thank you, President Luker. Mrs. Lehman did email me late this afternoon. Unfortunately, I was in meetings at the time. I did not see her email until 6:30 this evening. I didn't respond in any way to her in terms of what she could or could not have. In terms of going backwards, the township has never posted, when we post the agenda for the Board of Commissioners meeting, we've never attached any documentation in terms of ordinances to that public notice. That's done through the committee process. In this particular case, it was discussed publicly at the Pension Committee. The ordinance was advertised publicly, was available to the public, and had Mrs. Lehman not waited until a few hours before the meeting, I would have been happy to give her a copy of the ordinance. There's certainly nothing to hide. But we're not going backwards. We're not deviating in any way from our sharing our information with the public. And anytime, prior to the board acting on the pension amendment publicly, a draft ordinance is not considered a public document. We couldn't share it before it was first introduced last month. But from that point onward, I've been happy to share that document with Ms. Lehman or anyone else that was interested.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, and again, it wasn't available for no committee meetings in January, so there wasn't even some place to go look. So, I asked if it was available anywhere, and it would have taken really but a matter of minutes to click on the digital copy of that. And that's what I'd like to see change for residents all across this township. So also, I'd like an apology on my behalf to Mr. Lefevre. I did write in my newsletter that he had not accommodated the right to know before the budget meeting. He did on the day of the budget meeting, but that was his deadline. Okay, I had asked to please have it in time to know that information for the budget meeting, but he did provide it, and it happened to get lost in my email. So I wanted to make that apology. Thank you.
Thank you for your compliments and your comments. Any other comments from residents? If there are none, we'll start with Commissioner Bowman for comments from commissioners.
I had no comment tonight.
Commissioner DePlacido.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to thank Lieutenant Malloy, or actually ask Lieutenant Malloy to pass on a few thank yous for me, one to Officer Alfred and another one to Officer Chris Posey. I think Lieutenant Warner is still in the house. Thanking them all for our work and future work on for the residents of Shellmeyer and Church. Help it's on its way. So hopefully we can come up with some good solutions for the issues that are going on around there. And with that said, when driving through Abington Township, please drive like your kids live here.
Thank you. Commissioner Farron.
Thank you, President Luker. Just a couple of things. I want to start with thanking some of our staff, all of whom are very helpful, and I appreciate everything they do. But in particular, I want to thank Mr. Michelot for a couple of things he's been doing in Ward 12, and our treasurer, Jay Blumenthal, for some help he gave one of our neighbors in some of their real estate taxes. Was accommodating and very much appreciated. I want to offer my congratulations to the library again. My wife and children and I love the library. We go to there often. We use their books. We use their digital resources when the books aren't available on the shelves, which is great to have. and we continually support the library by keeping books overdue and paying our fines happily to contribute as much as we can to the library. So congratulations on 50 years. I do want to remind people about some of the great things going on in Ward 12. We've had Bernie's open up. And it is, I know it was a point of contention for some neighbors, many of whom at this point realize that we want it to be a success, and so far so good. It's a beautiful building, it's beautiful inside, the food is delicious, it's getting rave reviews. If you get a chance, please come out to Bernie's. And at the same time, our Keswick Village area is still exploding. Dino's will be coming in a couple months, and that promises to be a fantastic venue with live cabaret. Keswick Coffee is getting ready to open back up again, which has been long awaited by a lot of neighbors, so that's very, very exciting. And the last thing I just want to mention is at the end of last meeting, I highlighted a little girl in our neighborhood who had a serious accident, was down at CHOP, and I held back on some of the details, and it has since blown into a large movement in Ward 12. A little girl named Allie Turner had fallen in her bathtub, and they don't know what happened. They don't know if she slipped and fell. They don't know if she had some kind of medical condition, but by the time her parents were able to get to the tub, she was face down in the tub. They were able to revive her through some CPR. She was flown down to CHOP. She is recovering amazingly well. She's already into therapy. She's responding to therapy, to physical therapy, so it's very, very heartening. But in particular, there are two things I want to thank. One is our community. The rallying cry for this little girl has been incredible. And her dad, Brad, would leave the hospital room every night, and the last thing he said to her every night was just fight. Right? Just fight every night was what he would say. And her brother came up with the idea of getting some T-shirts just for the family to support, and people kept asking him to buy T-shirts. They have literally ordered thousands of T-shirts. They have sweatpants. They have jackets now. They're going to try to pay back some of that. They're creating a little foundation to support families who are in some kind of crisis mode, and as that unfolds, I'll let you know. But the response has been incredible from our neighbors, from our businesses. Riviera d'Italia has been incredible in support of the family, and that's just one of many. I could stay here all night rattling off companies and neighbors who've been great, so it's just incredible. And I will point out two neighbors in particular, Jamie Piggott and Katie Small, have been phenomenal. I was able to meet with them the other night, and some of the Turner family to talk about what's going on, and their support has been amazing, and it's heartening to see that we have such great people in our neighborhood. And secondly, and perhaps most importantly, the Turners are very, 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 very much behind the idea of CPR education. CPR is what saved Allie's life, and CPR is so important for us to know, and it's so important for our kids to be aware of CPR, but more importantly, below a certain age, knowing how to call 911 and knowing how to be on the phone with our emergency responders to help as they get ready to come back and offer assistance. We're going to be going through some CPR training over the next couple of weeks where we have Jim Spalding, who's volunteered to give some time back. He's going to go over basics of CPR, basics of 911, talk about some of the AED devices that are going to be so important in our neighborhood and in the safety of our children. And I just want to thank the community at large. I want to thank every commissioner up here. The response from everybody up here has been incredible. The response from the township has been incredible. I've talked to the fire marshal. I've talked to some police officers, and everybody is rallying around this little girl, and I think the best response is that she's getting better. So thank you very much, and please continue to say your prayers for little Allie Turner. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gillespie.
Thank you. I don't know where my voice went tonight, but anyway, first of all, I wanted to say thank you, too. On my recent trip to AMH, I first of all have to thank the second alarmers. I never thought I'd need them in my life, but they came. And for the support of everyone here and all the prayers and cards. It was just overwhelming, everybody's support. I'm getting back to normal. I'm about 800% better than I was before. On past that, I want to remind everybody that Keep the Parade Running, our 5K, is April 9th. So I'm going to be getting out information. I'm a little behind, but I'm going to be getting out information on that. So I've got to work quickly because that is coming quite fast. Steve, that will be stepping off from your VFW. I forgot to tell you. Anyway, and I also want to congratulate the library. That library was not there when I was in Abington schools. We used to go to Jenkintown and drive those poor librarians crazy. But it's a great library, and it's such an asset to the township. And again, thank you, everybody, for your support. And my ward. People were just, it was overwhelming. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hecker.
Thank you, President Luker. I had two items. First, I also wanted to take a moment to thank Fire Marshal Clark, the Abington Fire Company, and all of the companies who responded to last week's house fire on Rockwell Road involving a mother and 4 young children. Fortunately, no one was injured. but the family has suffered loss, and the community is rallying around them, rallying once again to support someone in need. And so I want to specifically thank the Abington School District and the Overlook and Abington Junior High School PTOs, along with St. Anne's Church and Pam Hastings, who is the wife of Pastor Reverend Brewster Hastings, for the donations that are coming in to support the replacement of clothes and food. And it's another example of what an amazing community we live in. And I'd be remiss if I didn't take a moment to acknowledge and thank colleagues, Commissioner Kalinowski and Commissioner Myers, along with Officer Gillespie and everyone in the police department who was involved in last Saturday night's fundraiser in support of the Costello family. I've never seen a fundraiser like that before. I have been at Steve's VFW. I mean, I can't count how many times I've been there for swim banquets, Cub Scout banquets. I've never seen that place so crowded in my life. And I think it's a reflection of the Costello family and the community that we live in. So bravo to everyone involved.
Thank you. Commissioner Kalinowski.
Thanks, Tom. Don't tell the fire marshal.
We stopped counting at 125.
No. I know. Thank you. Happy New Year, everybody. I look forward to working with the staff. Great commissioners here. Congratulations to the library. We're starting the 24-hour relay meetings this month, so if anybody's interested in getting involved, that's May 21st, 22nd, and we do about 600 kids plus chaperones, and I'm in charge of feeding them, so we'll have fun with that. Kelly Warner, Pat Malloy, everybody's, almost all the commissioners, they've been there at one point or another. So we would have, and the library this year is jumping on board and going to give us a little hand, and we're going to make that maybe a little bit of theme of our 24-hour relay. So we're looking forward to that, and keep continuing celebrating 50 more years of the library. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Commissioner Klein.
No comment tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Zappone.
The Ardsley Family Day Committee meetings will be starting up again this month. We have 6 to 7 events planned for this year. So I'll be letting everybody know the events that are coming up and welcome any help we can get.
Thank you. Commissioner Spiegelman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Happy 2016, everybody. With regard to the comments that were made about the Baderwood Basins, I want to say that Commissioners Sanchez and Farron and myself, along with Manager Lefevre and Engineer Powers, have been working constantly on this very complicated basin situation. But just to address briefly, very briefly, the comments that were made, and also impart an important new piece of information. First, it is true that I think I can speak for Commissioner Farron and Commissioner Sanchez. We did not know until not long before the December 16th meeting that the Army Corps of Engineers was proposing 3 of their 9 Cheltenham flood remediation basins to be on Abington Township property. And so there was a communication breakdown, but we've been working closely with the Army Corps of Engineers. We hope to actually get Cheltenham Township more directly involved, but we've really had some very productive meetings. And that leads to the new information, which is for folks who are interested in the public comment period, which was originally, the deadline for that was originally December 21st. By request, it was extended to January 21st. Now, fortunately, it has been extended again to February 22nd. So February 22nd is the new deadline. And in my newsletter, and I believe Commissioner Sanchez's newsletter, Commissioner Farron's newsletter, we've been giving out the information about how to make your official public comment and the channels by which to do that. So I guess I'd like to thank my colleagues and the staff for all their help with that. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. President. No comment this evening.
Okay. Commissioner Rothman.
I just want to take the opportunity to thank my colleagues and staff who I've been meeting with since being sworn in for being very welcoming and bearing with me as I learn some of the way that things work. And I look forward to working with you. Also, happy birthday to the library. And one last quick thing, my neighbor had a baby this morning, so welcome to Abington, Tessa Goldstein. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Myers.
Thank you. Congratulations to the library. Someone sent me on Facebook, what would we do without Facebook? there is a website called onlyinyourstate.com, and they named the 9 best cities in Pennsylvania to raise a family. This was based on school, cost of living, and growth rate. And I don't know why there were only 9, maybe there wasn't a 10th, but President Luker, Willow Grove was rated 7th out of the 9 as the 9 best cities to raise a family. So I expect next month to see a plaque up there for Willow Grove. Thank you.
The plaque will be at the mall.
It's probably because of the mall.
Thank you. Commissioner Markman.
No comment, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Shriver.
Yeah, a couple things. I want to, first of all, congratulate our new sergeant, Joseph Blythe, and on his promotion, and to give a happy birthday to the library. The other thing I want to mention is the Roslyn Film Festival, which is March 19th. The early deadline to have entries for films is January 31st, so it's coming up. That's for a discounted entry price if you want to submit a film. Films are to be under 30 minutes, and if you know anybody that may be a filmmaker who might be interested, we are still looking for films. They can turn them in until the end of February, but the cost goes up slightly after January 31st. So if you want more information, you can go to www.roslynfilmfestival as our website. It's roslynfilmfestival.com as our website, and get the entry blank, get all the information. You can watch previous films from other years. You can see the red carpet. And then I just want to also invite everybody. All proceeds do help our Roslyn Fire Company, and it's a great event. So that's on the event itself is March 19th. But get those films in. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Shriver. Okay, lastly, I'd like to first apologize to Michelle. I read the name wrong under the Environmental Advisory Council. I apologize. It's Michelle Kazlik? Kazlik. All right. Thank you, Lori, for bringing that to my attention. Michelle, I apologize for that. Next, I'd like to thank, I was down at the Abington Town Center Shopping Mall today, and I don't think we've ever given any public recognition to Commissioner Markman, who did a splendid job revitalizing that town center, and Commissioner Hecker, I believe it's in your ward.
Yes, sir.
You gentlemen deserve a lot of credit for that, because that mall, I mean, it went from 100 parking spaces, so I couldn't even get in there today. So excellent job on revitalizing that, and I'd like to see more of that in the township moving forward. Next, I'd like to, in the month of December, I received a letter from the Government Finance Officers Association, and in it, they stated that our finance director, Mr. Kevin, received a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting presented to the Township of Abington for its comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2014. So Kevin sits there very quietly, but in the process, he's getting all kind of awards. I think this is how many years in a row, Kevin?
12 in a row.
12 years in a row that the government has recognized Abington Township's Finance Office as being one of the best, and duly notes that, and I think we publicly have to give recognition to our Finance Office for doing an outstanding job. So, Kevin, thank you. And staff. Next, I was remiss in thanking, during our reorganization meeting last Monday, thanking Judge Stephen Tolliver, who came to Abington for the first time, to my knowledge, to do his swearing in, and he was very impressed with Abington Township. He did an excellent job, and also I overlooked the fact that I didn't thank Commissioner Hecker's Scout Troop 77. Those guys bailed me out, not only then, but are going to bail me out Monday. So, Commissioner Hecker, I just wanted to thank you and all your scouts. They're very professional, do an excellent job. And when I say bail me out Monday, that's the same way to the Dr. Martin Luther King program this coming Monday at Abington High School at 12 noon. I want to thank Larry Mateo and Commissioner Spiegelman, who did the program this year for me, and Larry, and I thank them both for that. And if you can, stop by. It's, again, Monday at 12 noon, and we'll have a normal array of schools from Abington Township performing. So I think I've gotten all housekeeping done. So are there any other questions or comments from anyone. And again, Nancy, thank you very much. The whereas and the proclamation is probably one of the longest ones I've ever read. I think I needed oxygen halfway through, but in any event, it's well-deserved. I didn't realize 50 years. That's quite an accomplishment. And thank you for giving compliments to Nancy Pazell. It's a shame she wasn't here this evening. I think she was there for, 25 of those years? 25. So thank her for us personally. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you for attending. Good evening.
Can we look at that finance certificate, make sure Sue Battista's name isn't on there? Just want to check. You sure? First one,